everybody knows how he is and everybody knows who he is. Obviously, there's a lot of knowledge. Like I've spoken to him a few times, obviously. Um, and the advice he can give or the experiences he can share, yeah, they're precious to hear for anybody else involved in our business.
At Sportskeeda Wrestling, we work with WWE Hall of Famers, many eminent journalists, former WWE writers, and so many others. Unanimously, they all feel that the Ring General Gunther, the man I'm talking to, has been the best wrestler of the year 2023. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome the WWE Intercontinental Champion to Sportskeeda Wrestling. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you doing? And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Let's dive right into all the hot questions that have been brewing up. There have been issues in the bloodline recently, right? There have been issues in Judgment Day as well. There were even some issues in Imperium recently. Do you think Giovanni Vinci's spot is secure in the group right now?
Well, that's to be determined, I guess, how things go. Especially us in Imperium, everybody in there, like, wants to be the absolute elite and wants to be at the absolute top. And sometimes when you fail to deliver that, there are consequences for that, and it's on you to make up again for that situation. And so far, this hasn't happened. We haven't seen we haven't seen him in action since then. But yeah, that's the situation right now. It's not about personal or any other emotional stuff. It's about the performance in the ring. It's about the results, and when the results are positive, the relationship is positive, and when they're negative, then everything else is negative as well.
Okay. Now, my follow-up to that is that let's say Imperium goes up against Judgment Day at some point. They have Rhea Ripley. If you could recruit a female star from the roster to take her on, is there somebody you want?
Well, we got to ask often if we want additional members or something. I think no, we're good how we are. But I think if we have to choose someone, I think it would either be Io or Charlotte, I would think.
Amazing. Great choices, man. You spoke about how serious Imperium is as a group. But at the same time, you went viral recently. You have an Indian connection. Your Indian dance went viral on Twitter. Are there two sides to the Ring General?
I would say there are more than two sides. But yeah, that one was, I don't know, I don't share much from my private life, and that video got out. But I don't mind. It was a day of celebration. It was our wedding, so it was a good day. And yeah, it's just a little sneak peek of the private life.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Is Brock Lesnar still your dream match? Every fan wants it. Is that still your dream match?
I said it before. I think he's definitely somebody I looked up to. I always admired him for how he handles himself and his business and stuff. And for me personally, I think he's my biggest obstacle at some point in my career. So if there's a chance that this happens, yeah, I would love to do that, of course.
So Damian Priest, he has the Money in the Bank contract at this point of time. Are you also concerned that he might come after you at some point?
No, I'm not concerned. I think in general, it should make every champion a little bit uneasy when it's Money in the Bank season. But I also think it's a very, I don't know, a shortcutted way to success, I think. in my opinion, a champion has to be identified in a singles match, in competition, and in finding out who the better man on that day in the ring is, and not about the timing of when I can take my shortcut. It's a situation that, I don't know, I don't agree with, but it is what it is. Gotta deal with that, but I'm not very concerned, no.
So pulling back the curtain a little bit, I mean, your matches are the talk of the wrestling world. I mean, every journalist talks about how well constructed, how well put together they are. And you have received so many 5-star matches. Like, you have been part of so many 5-star matches. Now, the biggest headline in the world is that Seth Rollins, he recently came out and he said that rating any match is silly. As a man who has had so many matches, do you find them silly, or do you take the accolade?
I think it's in the nature of people when they are really invested in something, or they execute the hobby a little bit more intense than others, that they like to do stuff like rate things and compare things. So I think it's just in the nature. So everybody who wants to do that is free to do so. So I don't really have I don't know, that's nothing that bothers me or something like that.
Fair enough. Max Dupree became LA Knight. Ali became Mustafa Ali again. Does Gunther want to become Walter once more?
No, I think the progression and how everything happened was very good for me and for my career. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in the next years. There's still some room in my career to fill, but that's nothing I strive for at the moment. I think in life in general, we always have to move on and adapt to what our situation is. That was a case like that as well. As of right now, I'm very pleased with how everything goes and how the whole transition to the main roster happened and stuff. No plans towards that.
As a fan of the business, who is that one current wrestler when you're in the back, you want to watch all their matches?
Right now in WWE?
Yes.
I gotta honestly say, I don't watch as much live at the venue as I would wish sometimes, because of our travel schedule often, or especially on at Raw. It's a very busy day overall, so I can't really catch it. It really depends, but if there's like it's a big match happening, then I always try to catch it, and whenever I have time during the show, I always try to watch in general what is going on, just to stay on top of things.
You have now crossed 400 days as the Intercontinental Champion. You have another record which is even more incredible, the NXT UK Championship record. Do you want to break that record as the Intercontinental Champion?
I think it's apple and oranges a little bit. The one thing was one part of my career, and the other thing is the present. So I don't compare those two things to each other. I mean, if it happens, it's a nice milestone, and if it doesn't, I'm fine with that too.
You can't talk about streaks without talking about the other man who has had this unbelievable streak, and everybody thinks that Gunther versus Roman Reigns could, I mean, come on, it could main event WrestleMania on some day, right? Is Roman Reigns again like Brock? Is he one of your dream opponents?
I wouldn't consider Roman as a dream opponent. I think we're two very completely different wrestlers. He's obviously somebody that came up through, first of all, his family history, but then he got basically developed or trained in the WWE system and got brought up through that. I think he's a picture perfect example of how WWE can take someone and turned him into an absolute superstar. I come from a different way. I'm from Europe. We kind of had to build it up for ourselves. I was way more interested in Japanese wrestling, for example, than in WWE coming up as a professional wrestler. So the I don't know, let's say idols I had, or the people I watched and admired, were different people than him. But what he has achieved is absolutely incredible. And I think in general, the aura he has and the reaction he gets as soon as he steps foot in an arena is almost like never seen before. So that makes it very interesting for me to, at some point, if the chance arises, to, just to see who would come out of this as the winner.
Is that tricky, what you just said? The fact that you come from such a different school of wrestling and he comes from a different school of wrestling. So if you come up, for example, if you face somebody who's not from the independents, do you have to change your style a bit, or do you ask them to change their style?
Not really. I think I never ask anyone to change who they are. I think that's what makes it interesting. If there's a lot of different like they're all different kinds of wrestlers on the roster. I think those styles clashes often, if there are, or just in general different approaches and different styles of wrestling. That's what makes it interesting, I think. So I think there's no point of trying to, I don't know, convince somebody to change or do something different. So, and I don't think there's any issue with that either. So
I think if you had, if you were on SmackDown or Raw a few years ago, you would have been the prototype Paul Heyman guy, right? You are everything that a Paul Heyman guy is. Is that something you want in the future as well, to be associated with Paul Heyman?
I think right now, I think I'm good for how it is. He's one of the biggest personalities in wrestling. Everybody knows how he is and everybody knows who he is. Obviously, there's a lot of knowledge, like I've spoken to him a few times, obviously. And the advice he can give or the experiences he can share, they're precious to hear for anybody else involved in our business. But when it comes to what I do out there, I'm always been the best when I'm in charge of myself, when I'm the one who goes out there for myself. So right now I always have the backup of Gio and Ludwig, which is worth a lot. But at the end of the day, it's always been myself making the big decisions for myself. So I don't think I need anyone on my side in the future to help me to make those decisions.
Who is your favorite person to chop, and who are some of the wrestlers who love to be chopped by you as high?
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I don't take a record of that, I gotta be honest. I just do what I have to do, and the one live with it better than the other ones. But that's not my issue.
Okay, fantastic. You have an Indian connection. We touched on it earlier. Do you have a message for your fans in India, maybe?
Yes, I'm excited to finally come to India and wrestle there. Obviously, my wife's ancestry is Indian, so from that connection alone, I'm very excited to go there in the future. WWE has a lot of fans there, and I think it's gonna be a completely different experience for myself. I've never been there. Was able to travel to a lot of countries over my career through wrestling, and India is a place I've never been to, and I'm really looking forward to finally go there.
Final few questions. You had a great match with Riddle on Raw. Now, based on everything you said, you mentioned how Roman came up through the system. Riddle came from the UFC. Does that bring a different kind of style into the ring when you face him?
Of course it doesn't. Always has been. It's like I wrestled Riddle on the Indies bunch of times before we had a match in WWE, and it was always more physical, more scrappy. He's very skilled grappler, and he's a fantastic striker. So it's always a different challenge to be, in the ring with him. He's got a huge gas tank. Like, his stamina never runs out. So it's definitely a challenge to be in the ring with him. And I think whenever we do, it's exciting competition for the audience, and I think that matters.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I have been given the signal to wind up. Thank you so much. Watch Gunther on SummerSlam, and it'll be aired on Sony Sports Network. Again, we don't know who your opponent is yet, but do you have any kind of message for whoever steps up to battle you at SummerSlam?
I guess we all know in which direction it's heading. There's a face-to-face with me and Drew on Raw on Monday. So I leave it with that. Let's watch that, and let's see where we go from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.